She discovered the incredible truth: her cheap blind date was actually a billionaire, life-changing. Jenna stood at the counter of the Maple Diner, the familiar hum of cheerful voices blending into the clatter of plates and the rich aroma of coffee. Yet, beneath the surface of her warm smile, anxiety sparked like tiny fireworks in her chest. Tonight was her blind date, and she couldn't shake the feeling of dread mixed with hope. Her best friend had insisted. "You need this, Jenna." As she wiped her hands on her apron, her eyes flitted towards the door. People came and went, but she hoped that behind those swinging doors would stand someone who might understand the weight on her shoulders, a hardworking waitress struggling to provide for her 7-year-old son, Lucas. But deep down, doubts flickered. What could a man want with her life? Who would accept the chaos of single motherhood? When Tom walked in, Jenna's heart sank. He wore casual jeans and a plain t-shirt, nothing like the sharp-suited executive she had imagined, someone who might whisk her away from this life, at least for one night. He ambled over, ordering only a cup of coffee. His easygoing demeanor felt foreign surrounded by the flurry of sweet apple pies and regular customers. "So, you excited for our date?" he asked, settling into a booth. She chuckled lightly, pushing back the anxiety. Excited is a strong word. She could see the warmth in his smile, a subtle spark that ignited something in her. The conversation felt awkward at first, stilted like a rusty hinge, but soon laughter bubbled up between them. They shared stories, her tales of Lucas, his adventures in life, how important family was to each of them. Her heart softened. Moment by moment, an unexpected bond formed, stitching together past grievances and hopes for the future. But facets of her past crept in uninvited. Jenna began to unwittingly project her insecurities onto Tom, her tone edged with the sting of judgment from her neighbors. She spoke of the whispers behind her back, the gossip that painted her as the single mother instead of just Jenna. The diner felt smaller, the weight of their conversation pressing down like a summer storm. What if he judged her too? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the tension rose, Tom's calmness only made Jenna fidget. He finally spoke. "Jenna, I want you to know, it's okay not to be perfect." His voice was steady, but just as she began to feel a sense of relief, the air shifted. The weight of his words hung as her heart tightened. In the background, whispers hummed through the diner, familiar voices rising, murmuring about their date. When the truth of Tom's identity leaked into their small town, he was a billionaire slumming it in the diner. Their laughter turned into smoke, dissipating into the air. The eyes of Maple Grove would fixate on her, judgment manifesting in glances and whispers over backyard fences. Jenna rushed home, her heart racing, her breath loud in the stillness of her home. She glanced at Lucas, his small body sprawled across the bed, dreams of a better life tucked beneath his eyelids. Could she really open herself to this unexpected warmth, or would she allow the opinion of others to slam shut her heart? As she battled waves of emotion, the phone buzzed, an incoming message promising the kind of gossip that could alter everything she had just begun to embrace. How would she rewrite her story in Maple Grove? Jenna held her breath, staring at her phone screen. The message glowed ominously. "Did you hear about that billionaire who was at the diner with some waitress last night? What a joke." It felt like the words jabbed at her like a knife. She put the phone down slowly, her fingers trembling. How could she explain the moment she just experienced? The familiar thumping of her heart echoed through the quiet room, and her mind raced. Questions piled up like laundry in the corner. Was Tom really interested in her? Or was this a game to him, a thrill taken on a dare? What if the town turned against her even more? She tiptoed towards Lucas's room, where soft snores filled the space. His innocence wrapped around her like a warm blanket. Everything she did was for him. Yet, could she truly welcome another person into their fragile world? A world where every day was like walking on a tightrope, balancing responsibilities and dreams. The next morning came too quickly. The sun peeked through the curtains, offering a false sense of comfort. Jenna poured a bowl of cereal for Lucas, trying to shake off the anxiety clinging to her like static. "What do you want to do today, buddy?" she asked, hoping to ignite his usual enthusiasm. "Can we go to the park? Please?" His big brown eyes lit up, and she couldn't resist the enthusiasm that bubbled in his voice. "Sure, Lucas. But first, let me finish my shift at the diner." She smiled, her own heart filling with warmth. Perhaps an outing was exactly what they both needed. The diner was abuzz when she arrived, but the energy held a different note. Whispers about her date flared with heavier flames, flickering in every corner like gossip wildfire. People discreetly looked her way, exchanging glances drenched in judgment and curiosity. It felt like a weight pressing down on her shoulders, making each step heavier. During her shift, she caught sight of Tom pulling into the diner's parking lot. He got out of his car, a luxury sedan that looked out of place in the small-town setting. Jenna's heart quickened at the sight of him. Part of her wanted to run and hide, but another part, the part that felt found in moments of laughter, wanted to greet him with open arms. He walked through the doors with a confident smile. He didn't look like a man burdened by wealth or status, he just looked like Tom, the man who had listened to her stories and made her laugh. Surprisingly, he headed to her booth instead of the counter. "Hey. I was hoping to see you again," he said with that trademark warmth. "Hey, Tom." I didn't. Her voice faltered, she needed to put on a brave face. "I thought you were just passing through." "Not at all. I actually wanted to talk more, get to know you better." Before Jenna could respond, the whispers began. A group of regulars exchanged winks and smirks, clearly intrigued by the rendezvous. The heat of their judgment radiated towards her. All those whispers she'd feared had come to life, circling her like vultures. Tom's gaze softened, as if he sensed her discomfort. "Do you want to grab coffee after your shift?" She hesitated. The town's watchful eyes lingered on her, waiting for the moment she would falter. But inside, a flicker of hope fought against her fears. Maybe this wasn't the end, maybe it was an invitation to something more than she had ever imagined. "Okay," she finally replied, her voice steadier than she felt. But as they stood close in that booth, just the two of them, the rest of the world faded. Would she be brave enough to lean in? With every heartbeat, the question spun in her mind. And as her fingers brushed against his, the thought struck, was she ready to embrace not just his world but her own, too? Would they transcend the whispers of Maple Grove? But before she could answer, his phone buzzed insistently, shaking him into reality. With a quick glance at the screen, a shadow crossed his face. Jenna held her breath, knowing changes were coming. What things did he need to address? And would those answers bring them closer, or push them apart entirely? Tom's hand tightened around his phone, and the moment felt fractured, like glass ready to shatter. Jenna watched the light in his eyes dim just a bit, replaced by an expression she couldn't quite decipher. Was it worry? Concern? Suddenly, she felt vulnerable, like the walls of the diner were closing in too quickly. "Just a moment," he murmured, stepping back a bit, his gaze focused on the screen. She nodded, feeling the space between them grow. The buzz of the diner faded, swelled by the chatter around them, reminding her that every eye was on her, every whisper seeming to cut deeper into her. She tore her gaze away, pretending to wipe down the table, but her heart raced as she tried to make sense of this moment. As Tom stepped a few feet away, she caught snippets of conversation, bitter and tinged with envy. What does he see in her? A woman scoffed loudly. Just a waitress, another voice chimed in, louder than the rest. Seems like he is slumming it for a night. Jenna gritted her teeth, trying to push their cruel words aside. Then she saw Tom run a hand through his hair, and frustration pulsed through her veins. Why did he care so much about whatever was happening on that phone? Could it be more important than her? When he returned, his eyes were bright once more, but now tinged with something deeper. Sorry about that. Just business, he said quickly, but Jenna felt the distance that lingered there. It's okay, she replied, forcing a smile even as the familiar knots twisted in her stomach. Business, huh? Must be busy being a billionaire. She tried to keep her tone light, joking even, but it slipped out half-heartedly. His laughter didn't lighten her mood, and instead, it felt hollow between them. Tom leaned in, his elbows resting on the table, his expression earnest. Listen, Jenna, he began, but the words hung in the air, fragile like a spider's web. I want to understand you more. She met his gaze directly, pulling courage from somewhere inside her. Understand me? Or understand what it looks like to date a waitress? A sudden edge crept into her voice, layering the sweet with a sourness she hadn't intended. His brow furrowed. That's not what I mean. He hesitated as if weighing each word. I'm not looking at you that way. I really just want to know who you are. But who am I, Tom? She retorted, her heart racing, knowing all too well the answer. I'm just a single mom, working double shifts. I'm not the type of woman you take home to meet the family. You might be surprised, he said softly, his eyes searching hers. You have depth, Jenna. You're not just a waitress. His compliment felt like a thread pulling her back, but the voices around her snapped her back to reality. Who would believe that a guy like you could fall for someone like me? She whispered, a tear freezing at the edge of her eyelashes. Suddenly, the door swung open, the bell chiming. A group of teenagers filed in, laughter spilling all around them. Jenna instinctively turned in their direction, desperate for a distraction. But then her heart sank. One of them, a girl with slick blonde hair, pointed directly at her and Tom. What are those two doing together? She laughed, her friend snickering alongside her. Jenna felt her face burn. Every laugh stung like a bee bite. Why are they here? She thought, her stomach churning. Tom stiffened. His eyes flicked to the group, and she saw the shift in him. The billionaire facade momentarily cracked, and in that vulnerable flicker, Jenna began to wonder would he still want to know her if the whispers grew louder. If the town saw them first as a punchline. Tom, she said, her heart hammering in her chest as fear wrapped around her. But before she could finish, a sudden thought struck her as he turned to face her, his expression serious yet tender. I want to be here, Jenna. I'm not afraid of who you are. But in that moment, she realized another truth, one that could change everything. Was she truly ready to let him into her world, know her struggles, and face the judgments of Maple Grove together? As she opened her mouth to reply, his phone buzzed again, a stark reminder of the realities waiting outside their fragile bubble. Would the next words to spill from her lips spiral them toward a deeper connection or throw them right back into the waiting world, full of whispers and doubt? Jenna's breath caught in her throat as Tom's phone illuminated once more. She felt the moment slip from her grasp, like sand through her fingers. Did he truly want to be here, or was this just another logistical hurdle in his life, a fleeting connection that would dissolve with the next call? Maybe it's better, she thought, her heart betraying her. Better if he sticks to his world. But the part of her that craved connection, that felt alive when he was near, shouted louder, don't run away now. She swallowed hard, trying to bridge the gap. I believe you, she said, her voice a whisper tinged with both hope and despair. But you have to understand how hard this is for me. Tom seemed to sense her turmoil. His eyes softened, the tension around his mouth easing. Jenna, I'm not like other guys. I mean it when I say that I want to understand you. I want to know everything, the good, the bad, the messy reality. Her heart fluttered at his words, but doubt still loomed like clouds blocking the sun. You say that now, but what happens when the novelty wears off? When the whispers turn into screams? You're a billionaire. Your world is so different from mine. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. You think I care what people think? There was sincerity there, a flame of passion behind his gaze that lit embers of hope in her chest. This isn't just a game for me. It's real. Jenna's breath quickened, a mixture of excitement and fear swirling inside her. She wanted to believe him. Still, the laughter from the teenagers echoed, a stark reminder of how quickly acceptance could turn into ridicule. Suddenly, the blonde girl approached their table, her smirk wide and taunting. Oh look, it's our little diner queen on a date with Mr. Moneybags. What a surprise. The laughter of her friends mingled with her words, leaving a bitter taste in the air. Jenna felt her cheeks heat up, the fire of embarrassment igniting her resolve. You don't know anything about him, she shot back, adrenaline coursing through her. Maybe he's more real than any of you ever will be. The girl's laughter died mid-guffaw, but she stood her ground. Real? Or just pretending to be something he's not? She looked Tom up and down, then flashed a plastic smile. Good luck with that, rich boy. Tom's jaw clenched, tension wrapping around him like a tightening noose. Jenna studied his face, searching for signs of insecurity or embarrassment. But instead, there was integrity, the steel core of a person not easily shaken. Ready to go? Tom asked quietly, keeping his gaze on Jenna, dismissing the girl and her friends entirely. She hesitated, knowing the choice lay heavy on her shoulders. But before she could finish, he reached for her hand, warm and solid. Together? No matter what. His voice was steady, pulling her from the brink of uncertainty. For the first time, she felt a wave of hope wash over her, larger than the doubt. Together, she whispered, her heart racing as she squeezed his hand back. Just then, the diner door swung open again. A newcomer caused a ripple in the air. Jenna turned, her heart sinking when she recognized the silhouette. The familiar figure from her past, someone whose opinion mattered more than any snarky teenager's, Jenna. Her mother's voice cut through the noise. Shock and disbelief danced in her eyes like ice forming on water. Tension clenched in Jenna's stomach. What would her mother think? Would she see Tom's world and judge it? Would she look at Jenna and see her worth collapsing under the strain of their realities? The moment hung heavy in the air. Jenna's heart thudded painfully against her ribs as she faced the new reality threatening to unravel everything she had just begun to piece together. Tom, she said slowly, feeling the weight of the judgment that could come crashing down. Would they be able to withstand this storm together? But the tension wasn't just in the diner, it surged through her veins as her mother took another step forward, certainty in her stride. In that split second, Jenna knew this was a turning point. Would Tom still want her when the truth about her past confronted them? Jenna felt her world tilt on its axis as she locked eyes with her mother. The din of the diner faded to a low hum, an ominous background that highlighted the impending confrontation. The moment was surreal, like a scene from a movie where everything unravels in slow motion. Tom's hand lingered in hers, a reassuring warmth against the chill that gripped her. Mom, Jenna managed, her voice quaking as she tried to find firmness amidst the uncertainty. This is Tom. Every muscle in her body tensed as she braced for the reaction. Would her mother's eyes narrow in judgment? Would she see Tom's designer clothes and polished shoes as a threat to her daughter's stability? The bubbling laughter from the blonde girl and her friends seemed to echo in the space between them, fueling Jenna's anxiety. Tom, unfazed by the sudden shift, offered a polite smile. Nice to meet you, Ma. His tone was steady, confident, as if he had waded through judgment many times before. But Jenna's mother's expression shifted. Disbelief painted her features, mingling confusion with a flicker of something Jenna couldn't quite place. Aren't you, she began, her words trailing off as she searched for the right context. Could she see through Tom's facade? Did she know the world he belonged to? I work in finance, Tom said plainly, his gaze unwavering. But I'm still figuring things out. He turned to Jenna, a look that urged her to take a breath, to invite her mother into their new reality. Jenna felt adrenaline surge, desperate to bridge the chasm. What you're thinking doesn't define him. He has more than just his last name or how much money he has. The words felt inadequate, reduced to the simplest of truths. And yet, they carried the essence of her feelings. This was real. It was Jenna's mother who broke the silence that lingered like a dense fog. I didn't expect to see you with someone like him, Jenna. You've always been careful about who you let into your life. There was concern wrapped in her tone, an instinctive need to protect. But I believe in this, Jenna insisted fiercely, her heart pounding. I believe in him. And he believes in me. Tom glanced at Jenna, his brows slightly raised, impressed with her fire. It was as if he saw the strength he had hoped to draw out of her, something beyond the timid wall she'd built around herself. Mom, I know this is unexpected. She searched for the right words. But I need you to understand. I don't want to be judged just because of who he is. I want to be seen as who I am. Being seen for who you are means navigating your choices, her mother replied sharply, a protective edge creeping into her tone. You don't know him. Not really. The sinking feeling returned, gnawing at Jenna's resolve. Could two worlds collide successfully? Could Tom hold on to her against the tides of judgment swirling around them? Tom reached for Jenna again, intertwining his fingers with hers. The truth is, Jenna, I'm not perfect. I have my issues, my past, but I want to navigate all of it with you. I choose you. The words hung in the air, resonating with an undeniable strength. Jenna's mother blinked, caught off guard. The stubbornness that had framed her expression wavered, replaced with curiosity. In that moment, Jenna felt something shift, as layers of misunderstanding began to peel away. Perhaps there was a chance, just a chance, that they could find common ground. Then, her mother took a step back, processing, and Jenna held her breath, waiting for the next words to come. Would they be more words of doubt or something closer to understanding? Jenna, her mother began, pausing as if to weigh each syllable. I just want what's best for you. But before she could continue, the door swung open again, and a gust of cold air swirled inside, carrying with it the extra baggage of expectations. Jenna turned to watch, an unexpected dread washing over her. A tall figure stepped inside, their confident presence instantly casting a shadow in the diner. Jenna's heart raced anew as recognition clawed at her. Why were there so many reminders of everything she had tried to leave behind? Is anything wrong here? The newcomer asked, a smirk curving across familiar features. A blast from her past, ready to make everything more complicated. Who is that? Tom asked, subtle tension re-entering their bubble. Could Jenna face another storm brewing, or was she ready to embrace the chaos? Jenna's breath hitched in her throat as she recognized the face now strolling through the diner. Derek. Her high school ex, the one who had left her wondering if she'd ever truly been good enough. His confident stride sent ripples of anxiety racing through her, like ice water splashing on her skin. The memories surged back, moments of unwanted comparisons that haunted her. Oh great, Jenna muttered under her breath, her insides roiling. Tom noticed her reaction, his brow furrowing. He squeezed her hand tighter, as though he could anchor her amidst the rising tide of unease. Derek's eyes scanned the diner, eventually landing right on Jenna. He smirked, as if relishing the chance encounter. Jenna. Fancy seeing you here, he said, his voice smooth but tinged with a mocking tone. Derek, she replied, her throat dry. It sounded more like a statement than a greeting. What is this? He asked, eyebrows raised in feigned interest as he gestured toward Tom. Your new boyfriend. The amusement danced in Derek's eyes, a familiar spark that only ignited Jenna's anger. He is not just my boyfriend, she shot back, her tone sharper than intended. He is Tom. Right. Tom. Derek chuckled, the sound grating against Jenna's nerves. Must be tough carrying that designer baggage around, huh? The laughter around them seemed to fade into the background. All eyes were now fixed on the trio, drawing Jenna into their gaze like a moth to a flame. Derek, you don't know him, Jenna said, forcing her voice to sound steadier. We're not here for your approval. Not here for my approval. He leaned closer, arms crossed as if blocking her from escape. But you always cared what I thought. His smirk deepened, eyes glinting with mischief. Tom's grip on Jenna tightened further, a silent show of solidarity. Maybe you should back off, he said coolly, his voice steady, yet there was a charge in the air, a determination to protect Jenna from the hurt that Derek always seemed to bring. Derek's smirk faded momentarily, surprised by Tom's confidence. Who do you think you are? He returned, attempting to regain control of the interaction. I'm someone who has had enough, Tom replied, refusing to be intimidated. Jenna deserves respect, and she deserves to choose who she wants to be with. In that moment, something inside Jenna shifted. It was like a spark reignited in her chest, pushing back against the insecurities Derek had whispered into her ears for far too long. She stepped forward, placing herself in between Tom and Derek. You don't get to decide anything for me, Derek. You lost that right when you walked away. The words hung heavy in the air. The diner fell into an unexpected silence, the clatter of dishes and chatter pausing, all eyes on them as if waiting for the next act in this unfolding drama. Derek's posture stiffened, the surprise clear on his face. Guess I should be known you'd find a way to rebel, he said, but now with an edge of uncertainty. I'm not rebelling, Jenna countered, her voice firm. I'm standing up for myself. As Derek's expression shifted from amusement to something resembling discomfort, Jenna could feel that the room's energy had shifted too. Whispers began to crop up, conversations sparked as curiosity replaced judgment. What's the matter? She pushed, finding strength in her words. Surprised that I can make choices without you? He shrugged, but his bravado was fading. You weren't this bold before. Tom stepped beside her, their hands still entwined. Maybe she just needed the right person to bring it out. Jenna glanced at Tom, her heart swelling with gratitude. This was the man who chose her, who believed in her when she couldn't believe in herself. Look, Derek said, cracking the slightest attempt at composure. Just remember, Jenna, you don't know what you're getting into. And I want to let you define that for me, she replied firmly, her voice growing stronger with every word. But before Derek could answer, her mother's voice broke through, finally breaking free from the tension. Why don't you come over and share a table? We'd like to hear about how you know. Jenna. Jenna turned to her mother, disbelief dancing behind her eyes. This was going the way she had expected at all. Would they really open the door to more confrontation or finally settle the score of the past? Mom, but it was too late. Now Jenna was caught between the past and her new reality, both worlds colliding in the most unexpected way. What would happen next? Would she be able to harness the strength she had just discovered, or was this going to open up a pit of memories she was ready to face? Jenna's heart raced, a storm of emotions swirling inside her as she watched her mother invite Derek over to their table. She felt Tom shift beside her, a subtle reminder that he stood ready to support her through this unexpected confrontation. Derek, however, appeared unfazed by the invitation. He straightened his posture, a cocky smile creeping back onto his face as he sauntered towards them. Why, thank you. I'd love to catch up, he said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Really, Mom? Jenna hissed under her breath, the heat creeping into her cheeks. This isn't the time. Oh, come on, Jenna, her mother replied, oblivious to the tension crackling in the air. It's just a conversation. It might be nice. Nice? Is that what you call it? Jenna gestured toward Derek, who had plopped down at their table with a flourish, as if assuming his rightful throne in her life once more. This isn't a social hour. Settle down, Jenna," Tom murmured, giving her hand a reassuring squeeze. "You've got this." "Right," Jenna whispered, taking a deep breath, steeling herself for what lay ahead. Derek leaned back in the booth, his arms casually draped over the backrest as he surveyed the diner like it was his personal stage. "So, Jenna," he began, his voice smooth and taunting. "How's life treating you these days? Still painting your way through it all?" A wave of irritation washed over her, but beneath it was the realization that he no longer had control over her. "Actually, I've moved on," she said defiantly, wearing her newfound conviction like armor. "I'm pursuing my dreams. Art is a part of my journey, not my whole life." Tom matched her energy, nodding in agreement. "Jenna is thriving. She's working on some amazing projects." Derek looked taken aback for a moment, the arrogant smirk faltering. "Oh really? Last I checked, art was just a hobby for you," he shot back, but there was a hint of uncertainty in his tone. "Things change," Jenna replied, catching Tom's eyes. They sparkled back at her, reaffirming her resolve. "People change." In that moment, just as she felt she could face Derek down, she heard her mother gasp. "Jenna, is that really going to be your big comeback? You're not exchanging barbs with him, are you?" "You mean defending myself?" Jenna answered, her tone shifting. "It's not about coming back, it's about standing up for who I am." "Wow," Derek said, raising an eyebrow, evidently amused. "Standing up, huh? Not what I expected." "Maybe you should try listening instead of talking for once," Tom jumped in, his voice firm yet gentle, creating a favorable shift in the atmosphere. At that moment, Jenna felt the atmosphere change again, a curious energy rippling across the diner as diners listened in. The spotlight had shifted, she felt something unfamiliar: empowerment. But Derek, never one to back down, leaned forward. "Let's get back to reality for a second. You think this will last?" He looked pointedly at Tom, dripping with condescension. "Why wouldn't he it?" Jenna countered, feeling the tension in the air. "Tom respects me, which is more than I can say for you. And relationships built on respect are the strongest," Tom added, his voice steady. Derek looked genuinely puzzled for a fleeting moment before his bravado cracked again. "You don't know the kind of challenges life throws your way." "Oh, I have an idea," Jenna said, her voice cool but filled with an underlying fire. "I've spent years being shaped by the past. It's only made me stronger." The diner continued to hum with whispers. Jenna's heart was pounding, yet somewhere in there was pride. It had been too long since she had felt this way. "Let me just say," Derek continued with a scoff, "when things get hard and they will he one tea stick around." "Or," Jenna countered, refusing to back down, "maybe we'll both handle the challenges together. Don't assume you know my life." Something flickered in Derek's eyes, and for the first time, doubt clouded his expression. "All right then," he said, a new edge in his voice, "let us see if you can keep that fire when the reality of life hits you." Jenna felt a chill seep in, as doubt crept back in. Was Derek right? Could this really be tested? "Enough." Her mother interjected, flushing with embarrassment and finally seeing the reality unfold. "This is supposed to be a family dinner. We don't need this drama." But Jenna had already crossed a line, pushed herself further than she thought possible. "Mom, I have to face this." The air hung thick with anticipation. Would she learn from dealing with Derek? Or would it merely pull her back into her old insecurities? She wanted to believe in herself more than ever, but would that be enough? As Jenna's thoughts raced, she barely noticed Tom's tense silence beside her. She sensed he was waiting for something, a sign that the ground could open up beneath them. But what would that sign be? Derek chuckled, the sound sharp like the clink of silverware dropping on the floor. "Face it, Jenna. You're still that girl who let me walk all over her. None of this is going to hold up under pressure." Jenna felt a shiver crawl down her spine. The weight of his words threatened to pull her back into familiar shadows. She clenched her fists under the table, reminding herself of the power she felt just moments ago. This wasn't the same girl he used to know. She refused to give her past that power. Pressure is a part of life, Tom said, his voice steady as he locked eyes with Derek. But the way we respond defines us, not the challenges themselves. Jenna turned to Tom, her heart swelling at his support. I'm not afraid of pressure, Derek. I'm not who you remember. Oh really? Derek replied, leaning closer with that same mocking grin. You think just because you have someone here, you're protected? What a joke. At that moment, Jenna felt a flash of anger combined with a surge of courage. Tom is more than just someone, Derek. He is my partner. Something you'll never understand. The diner had fallen eerily silent, all eyes now glued to the confrontation unfolding in front of them. Jenna sensed the weight of attention but used it to fuel her determination. She was going to stand her ground. You think you can project your insecurities onto me? Jenna's voice rose slightly, drawing glances from the surrounding tables. I've already dealt with that. It's a shame you still haven't figured it out. Derek's expression hardened, but for a fleeting moment, she saw a crack in his armor. Whatever, Jenna. Keep telling yourself that. We both know who you were, he retorted, but his tone wavered. It was a half-hearted attempt to regain control. You're right, Jenna conceded, her tone calming. I was that girl. I survived it, and look at me now. Your words don't affect me anymore. She took a breath and refocused her attention, her heart racing with a newfound confidence. I'm building a future, and I'm happy. Why are you even here? Derek shifted uncomfortably, the bravado starting to crumble. I'm just curious, he mumbled, glancing at the exit as if seeking an escape route. Curiosity? Is that what this is? Tom interjected, a hint of anger creeping into his voice. You're not here to catch up. You're just trying to stir up trouble. The tension in the air was palpable. Unsure, Derek looked down, weighing his options. Jenna could feel the eyes of the diner on her, and she thrived in it. Just leave, she said, her voice firm yet calm. You don't belong in this part of my life anymore. What, so you think you've won? Derek shot back, desperation spilling into his tone. This isn't over. I'm not interested in playing games, Derek. I'm done with your drama, she replied, her heart pounding. If you want to find something worthwhile, try looking in the mirror first. With that, Jenna felt a wave of relief wash over her. It was finally out there, the truth she had been hiding from for so long. Her mother stared at her with wide eyes, caught somewhere between astonishment and pride. Suddenly, Derek pushed himself away from the table, his bravado evaporating into thin air. You'll see, he said, his voice taut with frustration as he walked away, leaving an echo of disbelief in his wake. Once he was gone, Jenna let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. She turned towards Tom, who looked awestruck. That was incredible, he said. Jenna smiled, the relief anchoring itself deep in her chest. I didn't think I could do that, she admitted, a mix of shock and pride bubbling up within her. Believe it. You're stronger than he gives you credit for. Jenna's heart swelled. Maybe this was the turning point she desperately needed. But as she glanced around the diner, she wondered, had Derek only retreated for now? Would he find a way to disrupt their lives again? The questions lingered, heavy in the air, leaving Jenna almost breathless. She felt the thrill of victory surge through her veins, but also a whisper of unease. How long before he came back to test her resolve? Jenna sat back in her chair, her heart still racing from the confrontation. The diner had resumed its rhythm, but the air was charged with an unspoken tension. Tom reached for her hand, his grip warm and reassuring. She looked at him, grateful for his presence, and the way he made her feel unbreakable. You really stood up for yourself, Jenna, he said softly, his eyes full of admiration. I didn't know you had that in you. I didn't either, she confessed. The adrenaline was still coursing through her, challenging her to process everything that had just happened. I've wanted to address this for so long. Then why did you wait? Honestly, she wasn't quite sure. Part of her had clung to the idea that maybe the past needed to stay buried. But Derek had dug it up, forcing her to confront old demons that she was certain had no place in her new life. I guess I thought I had moved on, she replied, feeling a familiar ache in her chest. But I see now that I never really dealt with it. I've just set it aside like an old coat I didn't want to wear anymore. Tom nodded, understanding illuminating his face. And now you realize how heavy the coat really was. Yeah. But what if Derek comes back? What if he wants to pull me back into that darkness? Panic seeped into her voice. What if he tries to disrupt everything we've built? Tom squeezed her hand tighter, determination etched on his face. Then we face it together. You're not alone in this. Jenna's heart fluttered at his words, but doubt still loomed. What if Derek was relentless? As they left the diner, Jenna noticed the first hints of dusk threading through the sky. Everything felt surreal, pulling her in two directions, one towards hope and the other towards fear. I need to focus on the future. I can't let him win, she said, determination blooming despite her uncertainty. You've already won, Jenna, Tom replied, his voice steady. This is just a small battle in a much larger war. And we're in this together. They walked hand in hand through the streets, the city pulsating with life around them. Yet, Jenna's thoughts began to race. What would she do if Derek returned? She couldn't lose herself again. Let us go see a movie or grab some ice cream, Tom suggested, his voice light and filled with optimism. Something to distract us, right? Yeah, that sounds perfect. But even as they chatted about favorite comedies and thrilling plots, anxiety twisted in Jenna's gut. She just wanted peace. A moment of normalcy, free from Derek's shadow. Once they arrived at the theater, a sense of relief washed over her, though it was tinged with lingering unease. They settled into their seats as the trailers began, and she forced herself to focus on the screen. A small smile crept onto her face as Tom leaned closer, intertwining their fingers. But as the lights dimmed and the movie started rolling, all Jenna could think about were the shadows. She glanced at the exit, half expecting to see Derek's menacing figure emerge from the darkness. Suddenly, her heart stopped. A familiar laugh echoed from the back of the theater. Her breath caught in her throat. Could it be? Jenna turned slowly, dread pooling in her stomach. There he was, Derek, casually leaning against the wall, a sly smile curling on his lips as he scanned the crowd. Her pulse quickened. This was it. The moment she had thought she had prepared for had now arrived. But was she truly ready to face him again? Tom, she whispered, panic creeping back into her voice. What is it? He asked, noticing her sudden shift. I think he is here, Jenna breathed, her eyes wide. Tom turned to look, and in that moment, Jenna felt the ground beneath her shift. Would she be able to confront him once more? Or would the walls she had fought to build crash down again? The laughter faded, leaving silence in its wake. What would happen next? Jenna felt her heartbeat reverberate in her ears, a wild percussion that drowned out the vibrant sounds of the theater. Tom's grip tightened around her hand, anchoring her in a moment that felt unsettlingly surreal. Let us not let him ruin our night, Tom whispered, his voice grounded and calm. Jenna turned back to the screen, doing her best to focus, but that familiar figure lingered at the edge of her vision. She caught glimpses of Derek, his eyes scanning the rows with an unsettling confidence. The movie played on, a jumble of action and laughter that barely registered in Jenna's mind. Her thoughts kept circling back to the confrontation before, the twisted memories, the hurtful words, the way Derek had once made her feel so small. Jenna. Tom's voice, gentle yet firm, broke her thoughts. Are you really okay? No, she admitted quietly, I'm terrified. I get that, Tom said. But remember what you did at the diner. You took a stand. You have the power to decide how all of this affects you. The silence hung thick between them. He was right. She had faced Derek down once and had found strength she didn't know she had. But could she do it again? Fear flickered through her like a sudden chill, and doubt crept back, whispering insidiously, what if Derek had the power to unravel everything again? As the movie continued, Jenna managed to steal glances at Derek. He leaned casually in the back, a smirk playing on his lips, but she felt more than just fear. Anger began to brew. His presence reminded her not of the girl she was but of the woman she was becoming. With a shaky breath, Jenna turned towards Tom. We need to go. Now. Yes. Right now. The moment they stood, Derek's gaze locked onto them, and Jenna felt an electric surge course through her. Did he sense what was coming? Did he know she was stronger now? As they exited the theater, Jenna's heart raced. She pushed through the doors into the night air, the world glowing with streetlights and the pleasant hum of chatter around them. Tom walked beside her, his warm presence a protective barrier against the storm she felt building in her chest. Are you sure about this? He asked, sincerity wrapped in concern. Absolutely, she said, newfound confidence blazing within her. He can't keep running my life. Tom nodded, an approving smile lighting his face. Let us face him together. Taking a deep breath, Jenna turned back towards the theater door. She approached it, each step boldening her resolve. She hesitated for just a moment, then pushed through and stepped inside. Her pulse hammered as she scanned the room, spotting Derek still lounging against the wall, his expression shifting from casual enjoyment to surprise mixed with intrigue. Back for more? He called out, his voice tight with a taunting sneer. Actually, yes, Jenna said, her voice steady and clear. I came back to claim my life. The laughter in the room faded, jaws dropping as those around paused, eyes fixed on Jenna's determined gaze. Claim your life. The disbelief in Derek's voice was palpable. You think you can just tell me to back off? You really believe you have power? Not just power, she declared, stepping forward, but control over the person I choose to be. I won't to let you define me anymore. A tense silence followed, and something shifted in Derek's demeanor. Maybe it was the sudden clarity of her words or the grounding presence of Tom beside her. Maybe you've changed a little, he conceded, but disbelief still dripped off his tongue. But you're still just a waitress with a kid. And proud of it. Jenna straightened her back, her heart racing but firm. You've been long gone, Derek. You're not part of my life anymore. I am not waiting for your approval. I'm not going to allow you to cast shadows over my future. His gaze hardened, unexpectedly angry. You think this will last? You think this rich kid really understands you? Jenna clenched her jaw, refusing to let him rattle her. Tom knows me. He listens. He appreciates every part of me, the struggles, the dreams, the joys. Do you know that I've fought for everything I have? You don't. Get to dismiss that. The room buzzed with murmurs of intrigue, and for the first time, Jenna could feel the energy shift in her favor. The attention of everyone around them felt invigorating instead of suffocating. Amid the charged air, Tom stepped closer, his presence a fortress beside her. She is stronger than you ever thought possible. Besides, she deserves someone who respects her, who sees her in a way you didn't. Derek's smile faltered, and the confident bravado began to crack. You really think this is real? Yes, she replied firmly. And so do I. This isn't just a fling. I'm building a new life, and now I choose to stand by someone who wants me as I am. Derek scoffed, his bravado returned for a fleeting moment. You'll regret this. No, Jenna said softly yet powerfully. I already regret listening to you. With that, Jenna turned, taking Tom's hand and stepping away from the tumultuous energy. As they exited the theater into the crisp night air, relief surged through her. I did it, Jenna said, breathing heavily as they walked down the street under the glow of streetlights. You were incredible, Tom said, grinning proudly. I can't believe I stood my ground. Believe it. You deserve to stand tall, he replied, warm admiration swimming in his gaze. But as they walked into the future, Jenna felt light. The whispers faded into the night, and with every step, hope flickered stronger than the shadows that had lingered too long, transforming into strength and empowerment she never knew was possible. This is just the beginning, she said, a radiant smile illuminating her face. An exhilarating spark of possibility filled the space between them. Together, she and Tom were ready to rewrite their story, one brave step at a time. This was her explanation to the world, her truth woven into the fabric of who she was. And she knew no matter what challenges lay ahead she was ready to claim her life. Life could be messy, but she was determined to embrace it all: joy, laughter, and the challenges that pushed her forward. They walked hand in hand towards the dawn of a new chapter, leaving the past behind and looking to a future brimming with promise and possibility. Now, before you go, I need you to do something important. You need to subscribe now to the channel. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more hearts. And drop a comment below about your thoughts and feelings on this ending. Your support is what keeps these stories coming. This is the moment to show your support.